Fat Macy's.
I'd like to start with a question for you this evening. Once you've paid your rent or your mortgage at the end of every month, how much do you think you spend every week on living expenses? Think about lunch with friends or Ubers home, work drinks on a Thursday. Maybe £100.
120.
120? Any advances? 120. 150 maybe. Maybe you can spend 200, but it doesn't really matter. And now let's talk to you about Kevin. This is Kevin here. We work with him at the YMCA, a homeless hospital in North London. Kevin's 19, and while studying for his A-levels, he works 15 hours a week and earns £79.50. He then spends £24.80 every week on a service charge to the YMCA for his breakfast, his dinner and his bills, leaving him with £54.70. He then spends £32.40 on a weekly travel card to get him to college and back. This leaves Kevin with £22.30. £22.30 for all his lunches, for his toiletries, his clothes and any other expenses. But this £22.30, or whatever's left of it, is also the only money available to Kevin if he wants to save up a deposit to move out into his own flat. Clearly, there's a huge financial obstacle to Kevin moving from temporary accommodation into the private rented market. Unlike you or I though, working any more than he currently does wouldn't actually benefit Kevin either. Because under current housing benefit legislation, he can only work up to 15 hours a week. If he works any more than that, his benefit goes down and he ends up paying more of his monthly rent to the YMCA himself, which is usually covered by the government. And that rent's currently £1,000. He's one of the most driven and motivated individuals we've ever met working at the YMCA. And yet even for someone like Kevin, it seems there's very little reward or incentive for being proactive.
These are the stories we heard time and time again while working at the YMCA, a homeless hostel in Crouch End. Residents there repeatedly complained about the fact that it was impossible to earn enough to save for a deposit to move into private rented accommodation. Whilst there, we also noticed that there was a real lack of opportunities with tangible benefits for residents. So from football coaching to cooking classes, there was an awful lot going on, but very little that had tangible benefits for the residents. One of these cooking classes in particular caught my attention because it was the first time that we saw a real life and enthusiasm and commitment to a session. So these residents had a real love of cooking and they brought their recipes with them, dancing around the kitchen as they cooked. And we suddenly thought, well, if we can combine this passion and this enthusiasm with entrepreneurship and tapping into that thriving pop-up food scene in London, we might be onto something. So this has led us to Fat Macy's. Fat Macy's provides a pathway towards independent living by inviting residents to organise and create a series of dining supper club events across London. Fat Macy's uses the project's profits to create a specified housing deposit scheme, and so with every event, each chef that we train gets to make a tangible step towards saving securely for their future. So our chefs volunteer their time, and in exchange we can give them £10 per hour. This money is stored in this deposit fund, which builds over time, event after event, until they have saved enough money for a deposit. At this stage, we require a tenancy agreement before we can transfer the money directly to a landlord.
One of our menus. So, what have we done so far? We launched in March, and since then we've run 12 events, 10 of which were down the road in Brick Lane at the Canvas Cafe. We've sold over 250 tickets and taken £7,500 in revenue. 2,000 of this is savings, which is split between 6 of our chefs. And 2 of those chefs who've worked all of our events have saved over £700 each already and are looking to move out as we speak. No, this is normally a slide in there? Okay. So we, after paying all our overheads for the residency, which we did in May, we were left with £2,000. By streamlining our costs and increasing our capacity, we raised that figure to £5,000 to reach profitability. Going ahead over the next 12 months, we aim to run 5 supper club series, which will bring in a total revenue of £50,000, and we aim to bolster this with £20,000 by being commissioned to run in-house catering training sessions at homeless hostels across the capital. Based on this model, we'll raise enough funding to help support up to 20 chefs to move into their own homes.
Oh. Supper clubs are great. The model works and it's been a perfect way to start off. But in the long term, our dream would be to open a restaurant, because that way we can both train residents on site while also providing ongoing employment for those who need it. We don't know who's out there tonight, but we know you can all help, because so far social media has been our biggest friend. Please tweet, please come to our events, and please spread the word. And if any of you have any friends of restaurants or venues, please do let us know, because that helps us enormously. So thank you very much for listening and for your support this evening.